High Horror Society. It's the High Horror Society. Oh yeah, it's the High Horror Society.
Good evening and welcome to the High Horror Society. We are your hosts, Zach,
Kyle.
and this evening we watched Mandy on Shudder.
Yes, we did.
Another Shudder exclusive.
Oh, man.
I feel like a shill for Shudder because just keep pimping their movies, but that's, hey, I got the free trial and it's working
They got
out
some good
great.
movies.
They do.
So
They do.
It's worth it.
It's worth the $5 a month. Yeah, definitely check it out.
$5.
If you're a horror fan, I can't recommend it enough. We've already did 3 or 4 reviews so far?
Yeah,
and
it's worth
each
it.
one has been great. So here we are selling it yet again. I expect a check in the mail, Shudder. So yes, this evening we watched Mandy. Mandy is a 2018 psychedelic action horror film directed by Panos Cosmatos and co-written by Cosmatos and Aaron Stewart on. And of course, directed by Panos Cosmatos, who did Beyond the Black Rainbow,
Okay.
which is a great trippy little movie. And the music was by Johan Johansson.
Yes.
Yes.
Good old Johan.
Good old Johan. Did a great job, buddy. Mandy stars Nicolas Cage as Red Miller. Of course, Nicolas Cage leaving Las
Nicolas
Vegas,
Cage.
The Rock,
Yes.
Raising Arizona, National Treasure, Lord
So
of
many.
War, Ghost Rider.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows who fucking Nick Cage is.
Of course.
So, Nick Cage.
Nick Cage.
Andrea Roseborough as Mandy Bloom. She was in Birdman, Oblivion, Nocturnal Animals, Battle of the Sexes, recently The Death of Stalin, and Black Mirror, the TV show, the one on Netflix.
I love that show.
Yeah. I
Nice.
didn't catch what episode she was in, so I apologize
okay.
there. I haven't seen the 4th season yet, so I stayed away from everything. I
neither
think
have
it's
I.
in that season.
All right.
Linus Roche as Jeremiah Sand. He's been in Law & Order and Law & Order Special Victims Unit. He was also in Batman Begins in a film called Non-Stop.
Cool.
And Bill Duke as Carruthers. He was actually the director of Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
Yeah.
What a credit that is.
That is
So
pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty awesome. He was also, as an actor, he was in X-Men The Last Stand, National Security, Get Rich or Die Tryin', and Bad Country.
Nice.
Yep, and Mr. Richard Brake as the chemist. So that was the guy who was cooking up all the LSD
the
with
good
the
stuff.
wide eyes and the
Okay.
tiger.
The tiger guy.
The tiger guy. He was in Batman Begins, Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie one, not the original Halloween 2. Thor, The Dark World, Game of Thrones, Kingsman, Secret Service,
Wow.
another Rob Zombie movie called 31, which I have yet to see, but I think that's on Shudder too.
Okay.
Death of Stalin again, so 2 Death of Stalins, and
pretty cool.
the upcoming 3 from Hell, which is the sequel to Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses.
Nice.
Yeah, so
check that one out.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
That sounds
I'm
cool.
very excited for that. So that's kind of a lot of crossovers. So there's 2 folks from the Death of Stalin in this movie, and 2 folks who were in Batman Begins. So it's kind of small world Hollywood, right?
Small world.
And rounding out the cast, and I didn't get other films for the rest of these actors. We have Ned Dahney as Brother Swan, and Haley Saywell as Sis, Line Pillette as Sister Lucy, Clement Baronet as Brother Kolepke, and a bunch of other folks were in this.
Bunch of others.
I just love the names. I think these are the names of the demon biker guys.
Okay.
But Scratch, Scabs, Fuck Pig, and
We know who that one is.
Yeah, and then and then Paul Painter is the Cheddar Goblin.
Oh, my God.
Gotta call out the Cheddar Goblin.
The goblin it up.
Goblin it up.
That's
yes.
awesome.
So I have a couple different multiple synopsises.
All right.
Synopsis for this movie. There's 3 of them that I pulled up, and I'm going to read them all to you without screwing up right now. Pacific Northwest, 1983 AD. Outsiders Red Miller and Mandy Bloom lead a loving and peaceful existence when their pine-scented haven is savagely destroyed by a cult led by the sadistic Jeremiah Sand. Red is catapulted into a phantasmagoric journey filled with blood, vengeance, and laced with fire. Not bad, right?
I like that.
Phantasmagoric, because I
Bravo.
had to look up phantasmagoric because I had no idea what it meant. I kind of surmised what it meant from the synopsis, but it means having a fantastic or deceptive appearance as something in a dream or created by the imagination.
Oh.
So I say that is quite fitting for this movie. It was a trip. It was a trippy one. So synopsis number 2. The enchanted lives of a couple in the secluded forest are brutally shattered by a nightmarish hippie cult and their demon biker henchmen, propelling a man into a spiraling, surreal rampage of vengeance. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the first one better, I think.
First one for sure.
And this is the longest one. I think this was written by a user on IMDb, but I'm going to read it anyway. Taking place in 1983, Red is a lumberjack who lives in a secluded cabin in the woods. His artist girlfriend, Mandy, spends her days reading fantasy paperbacks. Then one day, she catches the eye of a crazed cult leader who conjures a group of motorcycle-riding demons to kidnap her. Red, armed with a crossbow and custom axe, stops at nothing to get her back, leaving a bloody and brutal pile of bodies in his wake.
Okay.
Not bad. A little more information.
detail.
I still think the first one's the best because it still has that mystery about it. The other one kind of just tells you exactly what happens in the movie.
True. That is true. Yeah.
So the more spoiler
First
ridden.
one, number one.
First one, number one is
Bravo.
number one.
Number one.
So jumping into our fun facts. Do we need to have you were supposed to get music ready for this. There you go. I want it to be more like fun facts. Like zipping across the screen.
All the graphics.
Yeah. Everything needs to have a
Stars
whooshing
coming
noise with
in
it flying across. The director, Panos Cosmatos, he was born in Italy to Greek filmmaker George Cosmatos and Swedish sculptor Birgitta Lundberg Cosmatos Cosmatos at the end there. Sorry, I'm screwing this up already.
It's all good.
The family moved to Victoria, British Columbia in the early 1980s. The director's first break in the film industry blowing it already. The director's first break in the film industry was being second unit video assistant operator for his father's film Tombstone.
Oh,
so yeah,
that's cool.
Fucking Tombstone, I love that movie.
I don't think I've ever watched
Never
it.
seen it, really?
No,
oh, it's
never,
great. It's a great film.
Share me your Tombstone.
Yeah, it's yeah. You asked. It's nothing with the pizzas, but no, it's a really good film. Kurt Russell is in it, and
okay.
yeah, it's Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp and all that fun stuff.
Right.
It's
check it out.
Wyatt Earp. What the hell is his name? Either way, okay, we should watch it definitely. It's been a while.
All right.
But his first film, the director's first film, was Beyond the Black Rainbow, and he financed that movie with DVD residuals from Tombstone.
Oh,
so
that's
that
cool.
kind of paved the way for him.
Hell yeah.
And this is his second movie. He was the writer and director on behind Beyond the Black Rainbow 2, which is like the super trippy. It's more psychedelic than this movie, believe it or not. Yeah, it gets into some crazy. It's again with the taking the LSD and the drugs and everything, and it really gets crazy. It's about this
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's about this like guy who runs this clinic, and he's kind of mad, and he's like mad, like crazy mad,
Yeah.
and he gets really obsessed with this one patient because he knew his mother. Like, I don't know, it's been a while since I watched it, and when I was watching it, like,
it's crazy.
it gets nuts. Yeah, watch it like super fucking stoned because it'll definitely help with everything because it is that type of movie.
All right.
But it's not bad. So there's a couple of these things on this next part that I don't necessarily agree with these. So they're called the director's trademark, and they listed a bunch of them here.
Okay.
And my problem with it is, like, this is this guy's second movie. So I understand, like, he may have running themes through it, but, like, to say it's a trademark is to, like, I don't know, like, say, like, how Steven Spielberg throws kids in all his movies all the time. Like, yeah, because he does it in literally dozens of movies. This guy's made 2. So I don't necessarily know.
True.
But it's basically his signature style. So I wouldn't call it a trademark, but more of his style, which I guess in essence is about the same. So I should just shut my face. But either way, Panaflares is one of his trademarks, and this is a process of aiming a small LED light into the barrel of the lens to soften and to make the frame look a little milky.
Cool.
He also uses film grain. The characters speak in like a slow and strange manner, like they're, I don't know, what do they call that? The rhythm you speak, your Candace or whatever. Is that what they call it? I don't know. I think I've heard that word before used for that. I'm not a thesaurus. I don't know.
I don't know. Sorry, people.
Characters speaking slowly and strangely then, and like the campfire scenes, and then obviously the characters using drugs and LSD.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of cool. So Mandy is partially produced by Legion M, and Legion M is the world's first entertainment studio that allows fans to invest in and be a part of the creation of new movies, television shows, virtual reality, and other pieces of entertainment. So basically, the fans can help fund the project. That's kind of like a GoFundMe, I guess, an Indiegogo type of deal, but more kind of focused on TV, film, and things like that.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I thought that was pretty badass. This little story I thought was kind of interesting, and this is where Mr. Elijah Wood comes into play, who is, I think he was one of the co-producers on this.
Yeah.
So this was in an interview with GQ magazine. So Nicolas Cage disclosed that when the director first approached him for the film, the director wanted him to play the role of the cult leader Jeremiah Sand, but Nicolas Cage didn't like the role of Jeremiah. He wanted to play Red instead, and Cage said Cosmatos told him that it was a story about old age versus youth, and he didn't really think he was right for the role of Ed. And so at the end of everything, they decided, there would be no agreements, and nothing was agreed upon. So they just kind of shook hands and walked away from it. So then a year later, Elijah Wood somehow got Nicolas Cage and the director together again to talk about the film, and they talked in more detail about like the theme of love and loss in the movie and how they can relate to it and how they've experienced that in their own personal lives and things like that. And so the director said it just kind of clicked, and he just was totally confident that Nicolas Cage should play Red.
Yeah. And he definitely did an awesome job.
An amazing job. But reading this and watching the film, I could totally see how he would just as amazingly play the Jeremiah Sand role as the cult leader.
Character is
just as fucking crazy.
He's got to be at that insane level to be able to do what he did. So
I thought that he did a great job.
Both parts
would have been awesome. I think. Yeah, Nick Cage is great. I secretly love Nick Cage movies. Weatherman is like one of my favorite movies. I always cry. I was like, what could have been? What could have been? No, but it's so good. It's such a good movie. And then Lord of War is obviously amazing. I don't know if you ever seen that.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's the one with he does like weapon smuggling and arms deals and stuff.
No.
It's good.
Is it a newer one or older one?
It's newer. It's probably in the last 10 years, I'd say.
Oh, okay.
Jared Leto's in it. He plays a cokehead.
Of course.
Jared Leto, always playing a cokehead. So going back into the more fun facts here. We got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. A lot of things to go through. So let's cut with the chit chat. While the beginning of the film features the standard cast, filmmakers, and crew credits, the title card does not appear until the 1 hour and 15 minute mark of the movie, which I told you about beforehand, and like it was like when he gets the axe made, and he's like, it's like boom, Mandy with the metal.
Yeah, it was definitely the metal
logo and stuff. Yes, I fucking loved that. That was great. So let's see. The opening credits, they don't display the director's credit until the very end of the film. So usually you see directed by so and so, and then the movie, whatever.
Yeah.
This doesn't do that. Cut at the first credit at the end of the movie was the director's name, so that was a little bit different than usual. This I thought was an interesting little tidbit. The opening text reads, "When I die, bury me deep, lay two speakers at my feet, put some headphones on my head, and rock and roll me when I'm dead." That appears to come from the final words of Douglas Roberts, who was a man convicted of kidnapping, robbery, and murder in Texas, and he was executed on April 20th, 2005. So no, this isn't credited in the film or verified by anyone, but apparently those were his final words.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, when I die, bury me deep, lay two speakers at my feet, put some headphones on my head, and rock and roll me when I'm dead.
Those are some good lyrics, though.
It is kind of cool. I wish the guy wasn't a convicted kidnapper, robber, and murderer, but if I had to choose some final words, that's pretty fucking cool, I must say. The weapon forged by Red, that fucking awesome axe, was an homage to the logo of legendary metal band Celtic Frost, which I listened to a little bit today and it's not bad. I'm not a big metal fan, but it wasn't bad at all.
Can you see the battle axe with the music?
I tried to I was using Spotify, and like the logo, they don't do logos well. It's like the album covers are like
super
big.
Tiny.
So I guess I could kind of see it. I didn't take the time to actually Google it and look it up because I'm lazy, so it didn't work.
Battle axe and
Battle axe.
Metal.
Yeah. The Cheddar Goblin commercial was directed by Chris Casper Kelly, who directed the Adult Swim short Too Many Cooks in 2014. So I kind of explained to you Too Many Cooks a little bit. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. If you're a horror fan, it's funny, it's cool, it's surreal. It's basically goes through every single 80s and 90s sitcom, TV show, drama, crime series, whatever, intro, and just keeps adding characters as if it's a television show intro in and of itself. And one of the characters ends up being a serial killer and starts killing off the characters as it goes. And then people turn into the titles themselves, and the titles end up getting people for the titles. And it's just like, it's craziness and it's hilarious. Just check it out. He also did this other little short called Final Deployment 4 Queen Battle Walkthrough, which is like a parody of all those YouTube, or not YouTube, but those like Twitch streamers or those Facebook live streamers.
Live stream.
Yeah, it's this little... It's this thing, and it just keeps like the guy is playing a video game, and then within the video game, or the guy's live streaming a video game he's playing, and then in the video game he live streams a video game that the character in the video game is playing, and it just keeps doing this like Inception thing until it comes all the way back around that someone's controlling him.
Oh god!
In the live stream, playing him as a game, and it does all this stuff like, you know, hit the keyboard.
Is a simulation.
It is. It gets that way, but it's funny. So check it out. Again, Chris Casper Kelly, Too Many Cooks, and then Final Deployment 4 Queen Battle Walkthrough. That's what a fucking hell of a title. Yeah. This I thought was a cool little tidbit. The book Mandy is reading early in the film, Seeker of the Serpent's Kiss, is a fake book. It's a prop, and that's the name of the score that's playing, the musical composition, it says, that is playing in that scene. So I thought that was nice. Like, the book she's reading is
it's a little nod
thing
to the music.
Yeah. This was cool. The song that Jeremiah Sand plays in the scene where he's trying to seduce Mandy and she's all fucked up on the wasp venom and the LSD or the acid in the eye is called Amulet of the Weeping Maze. And it was actually released on Bandcamp, and it became the bestseller on the site shortly after the film came out. And then, so on this track, apparently, there's a 17-minute little interview called My Journey, which details Jeremiah Sand's life and his views and his views on the world and God. So I'm definitely gonna go back and check this out, get some more insight on this character. I loved the Jeremiah Sand character. I loved how mean and vicious he was, and then how much of a giant sissy bitch he was.
Towards the end.
But we'll get into that.
So watch the movie.
This is significant too. So apparently the number 44 on Red's jersey or on his shirt, he talks about his shirt a lot in the movie. You cut my fucking shirt.
You cut my favorite shirt.
So apparently the 44 has several meanings. One, it's a reference to Mark Twain's unfinished novel titled The Mysterious Stranger, where a supernatural character called Number 44 appears and uses his supernatural powers to expose the futility of mankind's existence. So I could see how that would relate. Definitely. He goes on a rampage and killing the scum of the earth. So it makes sense.
I like that.
Number 44 was also the number of New York Yankees Reggie Jackson. And, of course, Reggie Jackson's famous for hitting 3 straight home runs in the 1977 World Series. I bet you didn't expect that fun fact.
Baseball.
And also, we got baseball. We got Mark Twain. We got horror movies.
Nicolas Cage.
Got all sorts of shit. And also, finally, the number 44 refers to the real-life serial killer, David Richard Berkowitz, a.k.a. the 44 caliber killer, or more famously, Son of Sam. Yeah, and Berkowitz pled guilty to 8 separate shooting attacks that began in New York City during the summer of 1976, the Summer of Sam, which is another movie that's not bad. John Leguizamo was in that movie.
John Leguizamo, The Pest.
The Pest. Or the clown from
Spawn.
Or more recently, the guy from the John Wick movies. He's the car... what do they call that? Chop shop guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And isn't he like the voice of that thing from Ice Age?
Oh, yeah, he is the voice of that thing from Ice Age. He talked with the thing. Like, yeah, that's right. That is John. Man, that's a good fun fact. Yeah. See, we got Ice Age, we got Mark Twain, we got Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
So this is, we were just talking about this. When Red is being held captive by the biker gang, his number 44 shirt gets cut or torn, and he mentions that it's his favorite shirt. And then later on in the movie, there's a flashback where Red meets Mandy for the first time, and he's wearing that shirt.
Oh, okay. Nice. I didn't really
notice that either,
Yeah,
and I read this beforehand. So what does that tell you? There are several similarities between Jeremiah Sand, which is the cult leader, and real-life cult leader Charles Manson. Like Sand, Manson was also a failed musician who reportedly took it very personally when his musicianship was insulted. And there was a whole scene of that where she says music basically sucks, and she laughs at his face, and his genitals that are just flailing out. Like, he must have really been confident. Like, I'm gonna get her high,
pretty much.
I'm gonna play her my fucking music, show her my album, and I'm gonna derobe, and she's gonna be okay. Let's do this.
But nope.
She laughed at his tiny penis, and then he burned her alive in a sleeping bag. What a terrible fucking way to go.
Yeah,
God, man, Oof.
Horrible.
I was like, I don't know. There's some things, like, it wasn't gory or anything, but just the brutality of that alone.
And the movement and everything.
When the bag, that's what got me the most, was when the bag was on fire and it was doing the struggling back and forth, and you saw the guy with the rope.
Yeah.
He has the rope.
Looking, he was not moving the bag.
No.
Like, somebody out of the shot.
Yeah. That was
somebody was actually in there.
A few things in life terrify me more than being burned alive, because it's just like, you just have nowhere to go, nowhere to escape,
Yeah, you're breathing in flames.
Yeah, that's what happens. You get engulfed and it burns up your lungs. So that's fucked up. Yeah, let's talk about something else.
Next subject.
Jesus Christ. Where did we go? So anyway, he's very similar to Charles Manson. He refers to his victims as pigs, as Manson and his followers did, and they use psychedelic drugs and
yes, they did.
go on violent havoc acts, which they do in this movie too. We noticed this. You could see the Cheddar Goblin macaroni boxes in Carruthers' trailer when Red goes to get the bow.
Oh yeah,
that was cool. The film's opening song is Starless by King Crimson, which originally appeared on their 1974 album Red, which is the name of Nicolas Cage's character.
That's so cool.
Right? Full circle, everybody.
Full circle.
It goes full circle.
I love it.
This movie is, Mandy is based on the same year that Beyond the Black Rainbow is based in, takes place in, rather.
Okay. 83, right?
83.
Nice.
And I don't know if it's some type of significance there, if he's going to tie them all together into like some shared universe or something.
That'd be cool.
That would be kind of cool. Beyond the Black Rainbow is trippy as fuck, man. That's on Shudder too.
Bravo.
Bravo. Give me money, Shudder.
Money. Ding, ding, ding.
So apparently in the original script, there were more specific songs and music that were going to play with some certain scenes. One example was the instrumental synth track by Ruleth. Synth track Ruleth by Sleeper Hold was supposed to play in the scene where Red fights with the last biker and sets him on fire and decapitates him.
Oh yeah.
But man, Sleeper Hold, I'll have to check that out. Have you ever heard of that band?
No.
Or musician?
No.
Instrumental synth track.
That sounds cool.
It does sound cool. We should definitely check it out. This is one of two films in 2018 where actress Andrea Riseborough played the titular character, the other one being Nancy. So she played the title character Mandy in this one and Nancy in that one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good for her.
The chainsaw fight had to be filmed in one night, which the director described as a straight up living hell to shoot. I love those. I love when that happens.
I see that though.
We talked about that with how those type of scenes, like the ones that their directors are always like, oh God, that was fucking hell.
Yeah.
End up being so awesome. And we talked about that with the movie The Void too, how they talked about the character shots and how everything was falling apart and everything was so tough to keep together. And they mentioned how it was just a nightmare to film, but it was probably one of the stronger points of the movie. Again, with that scene was awesome. The chainsaw fight was so badass.
I don't see how they could have shot that to get that same look, the darkness and everything, and the fire and all that stuff.
That's probably why they had to do it in one night. We got to do it
one night.
Yeah, I mean, everything's the lighting's all gonna change the next night. Like even from the moon and stuff like that. What if it's cloudy or dark?
It'd be very hard to recapture that.
Yeah, that's why shooting it outside is so fucking hard. You have to just get it done in one day.
For sure.
We mentioned this. Red jokes that his favorite planet is Galactus, who's the planet eater villain from the Marvel comics. And Nicolas Cage is obviously a huge comic book fan. He's been in a bunch of different Marvel movies, and he's been in apparently played 3 Marvel heroes across 4 films.
Oh, cool.
So who else did he play?
Yeah, I mean, because it was what? Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
right?
and obviously he took his name Nicolas Cage from Luke Cage, but yeah, who did he play? He played Ghost Rider, and who else? I'm gonna look this up later and slap myself.
Somebody comment.
Yeah, let us know
what it is.
who he
we know
is.
you're there. There's a few people watching.
Are there a few people watching?
There
Hi.
Hi. There's two.
Hi,
two people.
Two people
Let us
watching.
know what Nicolas Cage
And no
has
one
been
listening to the podcast on Podbean.
It's all good.
Sad. So towards the end of the film, Red tells the cult leader that the psychic drowns where his mystic swims, and this is apparently a variation of the quote by mythologist Joseph Campbell, which goes, "The psychic drowns in the same waters in which the mystic swims with delight." So nice little meaning, basically, that is a fine line between psychosis and spirituality.
Oh,
which
I could see it.
I definitely can see.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking from experience with certain people I know, I could definitely see that. And then a dedication to the late Johan Johansson is at the end of the movie with apparently there's some sketches that Mandy drew from earlier in the film that are shown, and then they say his name. And then these I did not read until now because they said they had spoilers in it. So if you have not seen Mandy yet, turn us off and don't turn us off.
Don't turn us off. Dear God,
Please, we're desperate.
We need all the views we can get.
But these are going to be some spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, I'm sorry.
Just go watch it. You know you want to.
You know you want to. So anyway, so there was this one scene. There was one of the animated scenes where Mandy pulls out a glowing light of the corpse. And that's an homage to the glowing green orb featured in 1981's Heavy Metal. I think we talked about Heavy Metal once before.
I don't know.
Maybe one of the first podcasts we've done.
Back when
we did like Deathgasm, I think. We talked about Heavy Metal, and it's basically an animated feature. It was based on like these fantasy comics that were out at the time. It's a good little 80s movie.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Right before Brother Swan is killed, he utters the phrase "better to burn than to fade," which is a reference to the song "Hey Hey My" by Neil Young, which is also included in the suicide note to Kurt Cobain. And the complete line is "better to burn out than to fade away." So, wow, that's a depressing one.
Yeah.
At the end of the film, when Jeremiah is on his knees and begs Red not to kill him, he says, "I'll suck your cock."
Yes, he does.
It's a possible reference to the short story Killing Nazis by fellow Greek writer Nikos Kalpakis. There's a scene where the character is on his knees begging for his life, and he says the same line. So that's kind of fun.
No.
Yeah,
oh, man.
And that rounds it up. Oh, apparently that quote, "better to burn than to fade away," is also from Highlander.
What? Highlander?
So there's two different things. It's either a Neil Young song or it's from Highlander. It says, "Before Brother Swan is killed." Again, I didn't read these beforehand, so I apologize. I saw spoilers and I copy and pasted
Someone's
like this.
trolling us.
Yeah, before Brother Swan is killed, he uses the phrase "better to burn than to fade." Better to burn out than to fade. The full phrase away. Also a quote from the Kurgan character in the 1986 film Highlander. Okay.
All right.
So there were a couple references in Mandy to other things. There was a reference to Chips, the TV show from the 70s.
I like Chips.
He makes that terrible joke about Eric Estrada.
Yeah.
It's so
It was
stupid,
so bad.
but it's so funny. And there's a reference to Friday the 13th. One of the cultists asks Mandy where she lives, and she tells them near Crystal Lake.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the lake from Friday the 13th, obviously, which we live next to one of those.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't whisper. There's a reference to Blue Velvet from the 1986 movie when Jeremiah tells his followers not to look at him. He uses the same repetitive phrasing as Frank in Blue Velvet. I've never seen Blue Velvet. I probably should.
Yeah.
There's a reference to Phantasm 2. Late in the film, Red is engaged in a chainsaw duel with one of the cultists. At the beginning of the battle, each combatant shows off his chainsaw, and it bears resemblance to a scene in Phantasm 2. Okay, awesome.
Right. Cool.
Says there's a reference to Galactus, and that's from Fantastic Four movie, but Galactus is the Marvel character, but I doubt it's in reference to the movie Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. But hey, that's what I copied because I didn't look, because I didn't want it to be spoiled.
Copy and paste.
And then there's a
read
reference
it
to
later.
Night Beast. The character is
Night
watching this movie on TV, so I think that's the movie Mandy's watching when Nick Cage first comes in, or she's drawing.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. With her amazing drawing
With
skills.
her awesome drawing skills.
She's good.
The budget was an estimated $6 million.
Ooh.
Yeah. not bad. It was not bad. And then so far it is grossed, since this is figures from November 4th.
Okay.
And the movie came out only in September. So
Oh, yeah. It's
so
pretty
far
recent.
the U.S. gross is $1.2 million.
Okay.
Not bad. A couple film festivals. So as I said, the film premiered at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival on January 19th, 2018. It was released on video on demand and with a limited theatrical release on September 14th. So that's the September date I was referring to. It sold out in all international territories before its premiere in the Director's Fortnight at the Cannes Film Festival in May of 2018.
Cool.
And it prompted a 5-minute standing ovation at the Cannes.
Damn.
Right?
5 minutes.
5 minute standing
Dude,
ovation.
That's long.
Standing ovation in and of itself is pretty special, but a 5-minute ongoing standing ovation.
That's got to make you feel pretty good
Yeah,
to be
that would feel
part
pretty
of that
badass.
movie.
Yeah, how exciting would that be?
Wow.
So, some other film awards that it won. So let's see that title card, buddy. Perfect.
Awards.
So some other awards. It was nominated for the best cinematography at the Independent Spirit Awards. Hollywood. Let me see. Hollywood Music and Media Awards (HMMA). It was nominated for best original score in an independent film. Oh, geez. Another International Fantastic Film Festival won the best, nominated for Best Film Feature. So those were its nominees. So it was nominated for Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, and Best Film Feature in 3 different film festivals.
Nice.
And then in the Sturgis Film Festival, I think that, no, it's, I'm sorry, I apologize. The Catalina International Film Festival won Best. Andrea Roseborough won Best Actress.
Oh, nice.
Panos Cosmatos won Best Director, and he was also nominated for Best Film.
Ooh.
So not bad.
Bravo.
And, I mean, I just butcher those Italian names, dude. I can't help it.
Please.
Yeah. All right. So those are the awards, and now let's get to talking about some of the soundtrack.
Some of the soundtrack.
Some of the music.
Some of the freaking soundtrack. That soundtrack is so awesome.
It was pretty great, wasn't it? The 80s synth with the heavy
So
metal
good.
and those like you mentioned earlier, those tones, those deep guttural tones again.
Deep tones from a gentleman named Johan Johansson. Bravo, Johan. You did an awesome job. He's from Iceland. He unfortunately passed away in February of this year in Germany. So sorry about that, but he did a really good job. He's got a few other really good movies under his belt, such as Arrival. I don't know if you've seen Arrival.
I have not, but I heard good things.
That one is so good. Arrival's awesome. He also did Prisoners, The Theory of Everything.
Okay.
And what is that?
Sicario.
Sicario.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool little fact here. He was the first Icelandic person to win a Golden Globe Award.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And there's a good amount of stuff. There was a few quotes from the director. I'm not going to read it because I didn't even practice it.
That's fine.
But it was all good things. They all were very happy they chose with him or went with him for composing everything. And yeah, just what he did brought so much to the movie with those like deep tones and like we were talking about the synth and everything. And yeah, he made the movie.
Yeah, the music
was awesome.
Was a character in and of itself. It really was. It was such an integral part of the movie. It really, and I've been listening to the soundtrack for a couple of days now before we even started watching this.
Yeah,
and this is the first time I saw it.
People are loving the soundtrack.
It's great.
On YouTube.
It is.
It's getting really popular.
It's the one track
check it out.
that I really liked was oh geez, I don't even have it up here, but I think it's one of the final ones. It's like the new children or something like that.
I didn't
That's
get that
so
far
awesome.
yet.
It's like the last one. It's like just so cool.
Nice.
But some other things about Johan Johansson. He was set to do the score for the latest Blade Runner movie, and him and the director, because he did the same director did The Arrival and Sicario, and he was like, "Hey, you want to do this movie too?" And so that when they were collaborating, things just didn't click, I guess, and they went in a different direction. Obviously, Hans Zimmerman and the other gentleman wrote the score. and it turned out great, amazing
for Blade Runner, right?
and so rightfully they change directions, and sometimes that's a good thing for a film.
Sometimes, yeah.
But I would love to hear what his score was.
Me too.
I'm super curious to see what it would be like, especially listening to the music from Mandy. I think it may be a good fit for Blade Runner too. Unfortunately, we'll never really see it because, again, like you said, he passed away.
Unfortunately, yes.
Overdose of cocaine and some other medication, apparently.
Yeah, they found in his system. So
yeah, and this film is obviously dedicated to him. It was one of the last scores he composed before he passed, and this particular score for Mandy was completed at the time of his death, but it was assembled in its final form by the co-producers on the movie. So kind of, he didn't quite finish it, but he finished the recording part.
Was it like 90% there, and then they were working on the music all the way up until like the release? Like it was like pretty close for them to finish the music, composing it while it was about to be released out.
Oh, so no shit.
It was a close call, but they
made it and they pull it off. Yeah. Sometimes those pressures are good. Like they spark creativity and they really make for great things, and like we talked about earlier, how filming conditions can be hell and they always end up being these great scenes. So it's just interesting that would maybe be the case there too. Like it's this pressure. Oh God, we got to get this done by this time. And it ended up being really awesome. That pressure kind of puts that extra little effort, that extra 10%, and that 110%.
Got it there.
So some other songs that we talked about, we mentioned the Amulet of the Weeping Maze and the Starless by King Crimson.
Yep.
So let's get into our Oopsie Daisies. Let's see that title card on the Oopsie Daisies. So
bam.
This movie is kind of different than most. That's okay. You bamming me while I'm trying to talk here.
Oh yeah.
This is a little bit different than most because I feel like this movie was so systematically put together. Like every shot, every scene, every frame of film that we're seeing in this movie was so purposeful.
Oh yeah.
That it was. Like there weren't. I try to look at movies and try to pick it apart, and I couldn't really see anything.
I think for me, a little bit was some of the effects too. Like those effects were awesome.
Right.
And with all that going on, like there's so much like just not the word, but it's like it's hard to see like some of the things like maybe in the background.
Right.
Of like, oh, there's a guy standing there when he shouldn't be, like things like that. Like you can't see because like the effects on the video and stuff. Like holy crap.
And if you're going through that much effort to set up a shot like that where you have the weird LED light lens flare thing coming in, the panaflare that they called it, you're gonna make sure it's fucking right because it took you a while to set up that scene, Sure. So I would imagine they were pretty
pretty on top of
pretty on top of finding shit. But there was one little oopsie that they found, and you mentioned this, that you noticed this, that when Mandy's reading her book, she has a series 2009 $1 bill as a bookmark, and obviously that would be impossible because the movie takes place in 83, not in 2009. So one tiny oopsie.
One little thing
that most people I didn't even notice, and I read that beforehand, and I was just so enthralled with the movie. I couldn't.
It's like, oh, $1.
Yeah.
Oh, is that an actual,
well, you see how many times you see $1 a day, and it just becomes like this normal thing for you.
I never look at the dates on them.
Yeah, and the style of it's totally different.
True.
Remember those old styles as a little picture, and now it's the big one, and it's all colored different.
It was a lot more
shit.
greener back then too.
It was. So that was the only oopsie I found online. I'm sure more will come out as more people tend. Obviously, the movie just came out in September. It's relatively new.
True.
So as it gets more popular, people start picking it apart, and we can get shit on it some more later. But so speaking of shitting on movies, let's get into our critical reviews.
Shittical reviews. Shittical reviews. Yeah, let's move that.
Move it over. You can move it over live. That is hysterical. For the people listening to the podcast, Kyle is moving the title card over, making sure it's perfectly centered on the live stream.
Under
so thank you, producer Kyle.
Action figure guys. We got the monsters.
So Mandy has a score of 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nice.
The little thing on Rotten Tomatoes said Mandy's gonzo violence is fueled by a gripping performance by Nicolas Cage and anchored with palpable emotion conveyed between his volcanic outburst. Jesus, let me try that again.
The gonzo part.
Yeah, Mandy's gonzo violence is fueled by by a gripping performance by Nicolas Cage and anchored with a palpable emotion conveyed between his volcanic outbursts.
Yeah.
There we go. Much better. It has a 6.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and then an 81 on Metacritic. With it has a little must-see award thing there for it. So some of the reviews for the movie, Nick Allen from RogerEbert.com praised the movie, saying that for all the endless and feral performances that Cage has given in movies, good, bad, and forgettable, Cosmatos' style-driven 80s tastics passion for weird worlds and characters takes full advantage of Cage's greatness and then some.
Nice.
Not bad.
That's
and then in a 5-star review for Dirty Movie, Stephen Lee Nash called the film a blood-soaked revenge caper, praising the director for his masterful approach that aligns him with Kubrick and Lynch in delivering perfectly believable and fully realized worlds and characters that operate within their own laws of physics.
Okay.
Not bad. So, and then also film critic Christopher Stewartson said the film is sure to become a cult favorite all of its own, which I totally agree.
Oh,
it would definitely be a cult favorite.
Cult.
So that was the critic reviews. I wasn't able to find anyone shitting on the movie outright, not professionally anyway. Obviously, there are always people, but
of course,
it seemed for the most part everyone overwhelmingly loves it.
Yeah.
So let's get into our High Horror Society thoughts on the movie. You want me to go first, or do you want to go first this week?
Go.
I can go first.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Oh, you bastard. Anyway, I want to watch this again, like right away.
Right away.
I don't really want to say for sure like 10 out of 10 because I want to give it a couple more viewings, but overall, I really enjoyed it. I think any horror fan would. The style was fantastic. If you liked more of a psychedelic type of look and a trippy feel to your movies, a la Beyond the Black Rainbow, if you enjoy those type of movies where things are just a little more surreal, where things aren't really fully explained outright, you kind of have to piece it together. This is one of those for you. It is violent. It is bloody. There's a lot of action. It's not for fucking kids at all.
No,
it's twisted and it's beautiful at the same time, and it's really the phantasmagoric word really sums up the movie pretty well.
True.
The living nightmare, living dream, but it all being the same thing at the same time. And the movie, I really do enjoy what the story of it too. It does, at face value, the movie just seems like this over the top action horror movie, just an excuse to chop up people and stuff like that. But there's so much more in there. Yeah. They talk about love and loss in this, and they're definitely, Nicolas Cage definitely did a great job conveying that when he was watching the body burn, and there was just that close up on him with the barbed wire in his mouth. And,
that
he was
crazy.
Bleeding out, and you could see the pain in his face, and it was so real, and the tears in his eyes just seemed so
I was thinking, what is he thinking about right now to be able to convey
to invoke that emotion in himself? What
that's a great actor.
Yeah,
right
it really is. He put his
shit.
all into it, and you could tell, you felt. And the way he was just kind of lumbering through things, you could tell he was just exhausted.
Oh yeah.
But that drive, that passion for vengeance,
anger,
and that anger was this passionate thing. And obviously the broken shard of glass full of coke probably helped him out a bit too, and the LSD, and
oh man,
so
you got to take that stuff just to keep on going.
Yeah, and we should probably say up front here that we're probably going to have a ton of spoilers in this as well, but
just a little.
I'll try to stay away from them, but as I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I really want to watch it again. I'm hesitant to give it a 10 out of 10 just because I feel that it's kind of set aside for it's those really special ones, and this is definitely one of those special movies, but I feel that me just giving it one viewing isn't doing it due diligence. You know what I mean? It's not doing the movie justice for me to actually give it that critical of a review. And I know that sounds super stuck up and hoity-toity, and they're like, you fucking hipster kid, what the hell is wrong with you? Just give it a rating. So I'll give it a rating. I'll say at face value, or not at face value, but I loved this movie. I'll say 9 out of 10 for sure. Cult classic written all over it. Just everything was great about it. The demon biker gang, who's later explained to be just LSD addicted just body mod freaks, which
crazy.
was somehow even more horrifying. Like, I'd rather them be demons because it's like, they did the call and they came and they fed them the thing and they were like blood for blood, and like you didn't really know if it was blood or what they were doing, and then you find out later they're just addicted to this hyper fucking potent LSD drug, and that's kind of the way they live in this fucked up haze world.
Man.
I love that the guy takes in the beginning, the one first demon guy, he like chugs it down and he's like spitting it out. He's like, more. And then, later on in the film, Nicolas Cage just takes a little lick of it, and it's like, boom, fucking like sun's on fire, blowing up.
Yeah, everything he sees is like demonic and
face is melting off.
Of course,
and all
those
sorts of
guys
crazy
are
shit.
like going nuts.
Yeah, can you imagine that just flowing through your brain?
Especially
it reminds me of that death cult from Japan, that Om Shinrikyo.
The one you told me about?
Yeah, where they used LSD and stuff like that to control their people too. It's a cult thing, man. It really is. So
it's a good way to brainwash.
Yeah, it is. Just everything about this I would really enjoy. Like I said earlier, it was a twisted little film, but it was beautiful too. Some awesome, beautiful scenes and shots, like the one where he's looking down in the canyon and you see the pyramid church, and then it opens up. It looked like something that you would see in fucking Fallout, like when
True, yeah.
It looked crazy.
Yeah,
and then
it was crazy.
The end scene where he's driving away and you see the planets and
that was cool.
The fucked up rocks and stuff like that. Just there was a lot of these little scenes that like it made the film feel way bigger than it was, and I really enjoyed that for it, because it made the whole world seem like if this type of thing can happen in this small wooded nowhere remote place, like what else is going on in the world that we just don't know about. And it was terrifying, but it was also exhilarating, and it was hilarious. The movie was so funny.
It had everything.
It did have everything. I mean, the cheddar goblin, come on, man. The fucking thing barfing on the kids.
Made me hungry.
It's just so funny. So yeah, 9 out of 10. Deserves multiple viewings, though, most definitely.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. My turn?
My turn. Yeah, your turn. My turn. Jesus. It's late.
Your turn again, Zach.
Let me go yet again. Ladies first again.
Ladies first.
Asshole.
All right, ladies second here. 10 out of 10. Oh,
big shocker.
Because it's in a new like horror category for me. Like, I've never seen like the psychedelic horror kind of movie. So
I'm glad I could pop your cherry again.
I'm always judging the movie on not just it as a horror movie, but also the subgenre of that horror movie. Yeah. And for this genre, holy shit! Like this was like 10 out of 10. It's up there because it's got the music. Thanks, Johan, awesome job, and it's got Nicolas Cage. I mean, come on. Yeah. And just the whole way the movie was put together was awesome with the effects and everything, and
a lot of love. I say that a lot, but
it. Yeah,
it shows in these passion projects, and I feel we watch a lot of these. We probably don't watch enough shitty movies because I'm just cherry picking the ones. Again, this is just an excuse to fucking watch horror movies with my friends. So it works. I'm not gonna pick terrible ones, but maybe once in a while we'll rotate a shitty one into there.
But still, this one is at the top. It is at the top. Yeah. So it's got everything in it.
It really does. I know last week we watched Terrified, and I gave that a 10 out of 10 because that movie literally scared me. Like that type of stuff, like that paranormal haunted house shit. Like it chills me to the bone. I don't know why. It was very unsettling, and it was just the pace of the ending was just a bam, 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 one thing after another for that poor guy. Yeah. And this was a little bit more of a slow, chaotic journey.
It was, but
it was so driven too by the you were saying, the score, just that driving, like it was just it was great. And this is not a movie for everybody. I must say up front, like this is not. Don't go in thinking you're going to see this badass over the top horror action.
No, it's definitely
like Resident Evil type of style.
That's why I love it, because
it's a lot more grounded.
It's pretty real. Yeah, like I could see this happening in the mountains somewhere, and maybe not to the extent of like Nicolas Cage, like total revenge, badass killing everybody,
forging an axe, and
the axe, like that was cool.
That was again another like awesome. We've seen that before too in movies where the weapon almost takes on its own character, like the flamethrower from The Thing. What was another one that we had? God damn it,
there's a few things I can't remember.
Maybe, but I know we definitely mentioned it for The Thing, but like these inanimate objects that almost take on a role of themselves in the movie because they play such a vital part of everything. And the axe, and this is one of them. The flamethrower from The Thing is another one. I think maybe was it the engine block or something from Deathgasm. Or it's just these weird little things that happen, like, you know. But overall, I have to agree with you, man. I think it was all very well put together. Everything, the pacing was great, the music was great, the acting all the way around was
awesome.
Great.
And it's kind of crowdfunded a little bit, so that's cool.
Yeah,
like,
supported by grassroots type of style thing with the Legion M production company. So go see Mandy. Go give it some support. It needs some love. We need more horror films like this that are pushing the envelopes and just making you watch it in disbelief, being like, what did I just watch? I loved it.
Yeah, so, I want more.
Yeah. So go see Mandy.
Check it out.
9 out of 10 for Zach.
10 out of 10 for Kyle, of course.
Of course. As fucking usual. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good evening.
Man. Peace.
Bye.
It's the High Horror Society. It's the High Horror Society. Oh yeah.